Lucille Ball was in the middle of filming the most important scene of her career, when her producer did something that had never happened in television history. He walked onto a live soundstage in front of 300 people and handed Lucy a phone. What she heard on that call would either destroy everything she'd built, or prove that truth is more powerful than fear. By the time she hung up that phone, America would have to choose between believing their brightest star or the darkest accusations ever made against her. It was Friday, November 15th, 1957 at Desi Studios in Hollywood. Studio 33 was packed with a live audience, watching America's most beloved comedian bring laughter into their living rooms every week. The cameras were rolling, the lights were blazing. Lucy was wearing her signature PA dress, her red hair perfectly styled, her comedic timing flawless as always. She was in the middle of a scene that required her to hide money in increasingly ridiculous places, while her television husband Ricky, played by her real-life husband, Desi Arnaz, pretended not to notice. Everything looked perfect. Everything looked like another night of television magic. But what the audience didn't know, what the cameras couldn't capture, was that Lucy had been waiting for a phone call that could end her career in the next 60 seconds. She had been performing on the edge of terror for 3 hours, knowing that at any moment the news she'd been dreading would arrive. And when that phone finally appeared on set, carried by a producer who broke every rule of television production to bring it to her, Lucy had to make a choice that would define not just her legacy, but what it means to stand for truth when the whole world is watching. The phone call came at exactly 3:47 p.m., and nothing in Hollywood would ever be the same. But what Lucy heard on that call, that's the part that changes everything. 3 hours earlier, Lucy had arrived at the studio carrying a secret that was crushing her from the inside. Her best friend and co-star Vivian Vance knew something was wrong the moment she saw her. Lucy's smile was too bright. Her energy was too forced. Her eyes kept darting to the clock. During the first rehearsal break, Vivian cornered Lucy in her dressing room and shut the door. "Lucy, I've known you for 6 years. I know when you're acting for the camera and when you're acting for survival. What's happening?" Lucy's perfect facade cracked. She sank into her chair. "My brother Fred is being interrogated by the House Un-American Activities Committee right now in Washington, as we speak." Vivian's face went pale. In 1957, those words were a death sentence. The WAC hearings had destroyed careers, shattered families, and turned neighbor against neighbor. Accusations of communist sympathy meant blacklisting, unemployment, your name published as a traitor to America. "Fred," Vivian whispered, "but he's never been political." "He attended some labor meetings when he was 19, Lucy interrupted, her voice hollow. "Back in 1936. Now they're calling him a communist and demanding he name everyone who attended with him." Vivian sat down hard. "Lucy, if they connect you to this, they already have." Lucy looked up, raw fear in her eyes. "Fred called this morning. They told him they have documents, papers with my name on them. A voter registration form from 1936, where I registered as a Communist Party member." The room went silent, except for crew members laughing in the hallway, completely unaware that a woman's entire world was collapsing inside this dressing room. "I don't remember," Lucy said, her voice breaking. "I was helping Fred figure out how to vote. I would have registered as anything he asked, because he was my baby brother." "But, Vivian, if that paper exists, CBS will cancel our show. Philip Morris will drop us. Desi and I will lose Desi Studios. Everything we've built will be gone." Lucy stood and walked to the mirror. She fixed her hair, reapplied her lipstick, and transformed back into the woman America thought they knew. "I'm going to go out there and make them laugh. And I'm going to pray that when Fred's interrogation ends, I still have a career left." What Lucy didn't know was that Fred's interrogation had already taken a turn that would force her to make an impossible choice. If you want to see how a woman saved her career by risking everything, keep watching. And if this story moves you, hit that like button, because what happens next will restore your faith and courage. The taping resumed at 2:15 p.m. Lucy stepped onto the soundstage and became Lucy Ricardo, the lovable housewife who made America forget their troubles every Monday night. The audience laughed at every pratfall, having no idea they were watching a woman perform while waiting for news that could destroy her. The scene Lucy was filming began to take on a meaning no writer had intended. She was supposed to be hiding money from Ricky, stuffing bills into her hat, her shoes, even a fake pregnancy prop. The comedy came from the desperate lengths she went to protect her secret. "Now Lucy," Desi said, in his thick Cuban accent, as Ricky Ricardo. "You know you can't keep secrets from me. I always find out the truth." The audience laughed. Lucy's hands trembled as she shoved fake money into her dress pocket. But Ricky, Lucy delivered her line with an edge that wasn't in the script. "What if the truth costs us everything? What if being honest means losing everything we've worked for?" The writers exchanged confused glances, but Desi, reading something desperate in his wife's eyes, improvised with her. "Lucy, in this family, we tell the truth no matter what it costs. That's what matters. Not the money, not the success, the truth." Lucy's eyes filled with real tears. The audience thought it was brilliant acting. Only Vivian, watching from the wings, knew these weren't performance tears. Lucy checked the clock. 2:47 p.m. Fred's interrogation would end at 3 p.m. In 13 minutes, she wouldn't know if her brother had protected himself by implicating her, or if he had sacrificed his career to save hers. The next scene required Lucy to confront Ethel about loyalty. Every line felt like prophecy. "Would you stand by me?" Lucy asked Vivian, gripping her hand tighter than required, even if it meant people would turn against you too. "That's what real friendship means," Vivian responded. "We protect each other, no matter what." At exactly 30:02 p.m., the soundstage door opened. Producer Jess Oppenheimer walked through, carrying a telephone with a cord stretching impossibly long behind him. In 6 years of filming I Love Lucy, a producer had never interrupted a live taping. He walked directly toward Lucy. The cameras kept rolling. 300 people held their breath. "Lucy needs to take this call right now," Jess said loud enough for everyone to hear. "It can't wait another second." Lucy's face drained of all color. The call from Washington had come. The question wasn't whether Lucy's career was over. The question was whether she would have the courage to face the truth in front of the entire world. Lucy took the phone with shaking hands. The soundstage had gone completely silent. 300 audience members who had come for comedy were now witnessing something no television show had ever broadcast. "Hello." Lucy's voice was barely a whisper. Her brother's voice was trembling in a way she'd never heard before. Lucy closed her eyes. "Tell me, just tell me what happened." "They had everything, sis. Meeting records from 1936, names of everyone who attended. And Lucy," his voice cracked, "they had your name on a voter registration form. You registered as a Communist Party member to help me vote in my first election." The soundstage might as well have been a tomb. This wasn't a scene. This was Lucille Ball's career ending in real time. Lucy's knees buckled. Desi was beside her instantly, his arm around her waist. Whatever private battles they were fighting in this moment, he was her anchor. "Fred," Lucy said, forcing strength into her voice, "what did you tell them?" There was a pause that lasted an eternity. In that pause, Lucy's entire future hung in the balance. Fred could have saved himself by destroying her. "I told them the truth," Fred said quietly. "I told them you were my big sister who helped a stupid kid register to vote. I told them you attended 0 meetings, believed in 0 communist ideology, and forgot about that registration 5 minutes after you filled it out. I told them you're the most patriotic American I know." Lucy's hand flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "But Lucy," Fred continued, "they didn't believe me. They offered me a deal if I testified that you had been involved. They'd clear my name, and I could keep working. If I refused, they'd blacklist me and release the story to every newspaper in America." "Fred, no, please tell me you didn't." "I refused," Fred said, pride and pain in his voice. "I told them the truth, and I refused to lie to save myself. My career in Hollywood is over, Lucy. By Monday, no studio will hire me. But I protected you the only way I could, by telling the truth." Lucy was openly sobbing now in front of 300 witnesses, in front of cameras that were still rolling. "But sis," Fred said urgently, "you need to know what's coming. The committee is releasing the story tonight. By tomorrow morning, every newspaper in America will report that Lucille Ball registered as a communist. They're going to ask if you're a threat to America. They're going to demand CBS cancel your show. Lucy, they're coming for you." Lucy looked up at the sea of faces watching her. The audience, the crew, her husband, her best friend. All of them witnesses to the moment her life changed forever. "Fred," she said, her voice steady with resolve, "thank you for telling the truth. Now I'm going to do the same thing." She handed the phone back to Jess. The soundstage remained frozen. Every eye was on Lucy. Desi leaned close. "Lucy, we can clear the soundstage. We can stop filming. We can." "No." Lucy's voice cut through the silence. "No more hiding, no more secrets. If America is going to judge me, they're going to hear the truth first." What Lucy did next would either save her career or end it forever. This is the moment that defines everything. Stay with me. And if you believe in the power of truth, drop a like and let me know in the comments below. Lucy stepped forward to the edge of the stage, looking directly at the 300 people in the audience. The cameras were still rolling. What she said next would be preserved forever. "Ladies and gentlemen," Lucy said, her voice carrying the command that had made her a star. "I need to tell you something. You just heard my brother calling from Washington. Tomorrow morning, every newspaper in America is going to report that in 1936, I registered to vote as a Communist Party member." Gasps rippled through the audience. Someone shouted, "No." Another voice called out, "We don't believe it." Lucy held up her hand, tears streaming down her face, but her voice unwavering. "It's true. I did register. Not because I believed in communism. Not because I was a threat to America. I registered because my little brother Fred was 21 and excited to vote for the first time. He asked me to register with him so he wouldn't be alone. I would have registered as anything he asked, because that's what big sisters do." The audience hung on every word. "My brother just spent 6 hours being interrogated by the House Un-American Activities Committee. They demanded he name names to save his career. He refused. They offered him immunity if he would testify against me. He refused. They told him he'd never work in Hollywood again. And do you know what my brave little brother did?" Lucy's voice broke with emotion. "He told them the truth. He sacrificed his entire career to protect mine by refusing to lie. Now I'm going to honor his courage by telling you the same truth." She looked directly into the camera. "I love America. I have never been a communist. I have never attended a single meeting. I registered on a piece of paper 21 years ago to help my brother, and I forgot about it the same day. But tomorrow, when you read the headlines, when people ask you if you believe Lucille Ball is a threat to this country, I want you to remember what you saw here tonight." Her voice peaked with emotion. "You saw a woman who loves her country tell you the truth, even though it might cost her everything. And I'm asking you to decide what matters more. A piece of paper from 2 decades ago, or 6 years of bringing joy into your homes." For 3 heartbeats, the soundstage was silent. Then one person stood, then another. Then the entire audience rose to their feet. The applause was thunderous, defiant. 300 people choosing truth over fear. Desi stepped beside Lucy and took her hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "my wife is the bravest woman I know, and we're going to finish filming this episode." The audience roared. Lucy wiped her tears, straightened her costume, and became Lucy Ricardo again. But the real battle was just beginning, and what happened next would determine if truth really is more powerful than accusation. By the time they finished filming that night, 23 reporters were waiting outside Desilu's studios. The audience members couldn't stay silent about what they'd witnessed. They called their families, their friends, telling everyone that Lucille Ball had stood before them and told the truth. By 11 p.m., CBS switchboards were jammed with calls. By midnight, Western Union was delivering telegrams by the dozen. By dawn on Saturday, November 16th, the headlines hit. "I Love Lucy star admits communist registration." But something unprecedented happened. Something that had never happened before in the witch hunt that had destroyed so many careers. The American people didn't turn against Lucy. They defended her. Within 48 hours, the response was overwhelming. 50,000 letters arrived at CBS headquarters. The calls kept coming. 2,847 in support of Lucy. Only 153 demanding she be fired. Philip Morris Tobacco, the show's primary sponsor, issued a public statement. "We stand by Lucille Ball. America stands by Lucille Ball." On Monday, November 18th, Lucy was called to testify before the House Un-American Activities Committee herself. She walked into that hearing room with the same courage she'd shown on that soundstage. She told them the truth about the voter registration. She named no names because she had no names to give. The FBI investigated thoroughly. J. Edgar Hoover's report concluded Lucille Ball poses no threat to national security. But while Lucy was cleared, her brother Fred paid the price for his honesty. He was blacklisted. He never worked in Hollywood again, and Lucy never forgot the sacrifice he made to protect her. She used her power differently after that. She hired blacklisted writers under pseudonyms. She created opportunities for actors who'd been branded as threats. She never spoke about it publicly, because that would have endangered them further. But inside Desi Studios, everyone knew Lucy was protecting others the way her brother had protected her. The phone call that stopped filming had done more than save one woman's career. It had reminded America that truth matters more than accusation. If this story touched your heart, make sure you're subscribed, because stories like this matter. Drop a comment and tell me what courage means to you. 20 years later, Lucy was asked if she regretted that night. "Not for 1 second," she said. "I told the truth. That's all any of us can do." The episode aired as scheduled. The ratings were the highest of the season. America chose laughter over fear, truth over suspicion. Lucy's decision to address the accusation publicly became a defining moment, not just for her career, but for what courage truly means. She didn't hide behind lawyers. She stood before her audience and trusted them with the truth. The phone call that stopped filming didn't destroy Lucille Ball. It revealed who she'd always been, brave enough to choose honesty when silence would have been easier. Lucy kept a photo from that night in her dressing room. Her addressing the audience, Desi's hand in hers. A reminder that truth doesn't destroy the innocent. It protects them. If this story inspired you, subscribe and share it. Truth always wins.